Hello and welcome to the Crypto Club and Digital Assets weekly catch-up on Zoom. If you are into blockchain, crypto, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, TGs, any other three-letter acronym really, or if you're interested in the Metaverse, at the intersection of AI and blockchain and crypto, then this is the place to be. Stick around because we always have some really interesting conversations, whether it be about the basics of blockchain and crypto, or some of the more advanced features like layer 2 and cryptography and digital asset custody. We hold these sessions every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, and everyone's welcome. So whether you're a novice or an expert, come and join us on a future session. If you've got any basic questions to ask, this is an ideal place to come along, ask and learn. Or if you're running your own project, you can take part in our Gone in 180 seconds. This is where you get 3 minutes to talk about your project or your initiative without the aid of slides, PowerPoints, websites, or anything. Just talk about it 3 minutes. Think about it as an extended elevator pitch, a great way to share your project. We never quite know what we're going to end up talking about. It really depends upon who shows up and where we go. But we do record these sessions each week, so do click on the like, the subscribe, click on that bell so you get a reminder as well when future sessions are. But most importantly, come along, join us and enjoy the fun. With that, let's see who's going to come and join us today. Sorry, Gabriella, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How's life? You good?
Good, thank you. Very
Excellent.
good.
Excellent, okay. Well, we've got Peter on as well. Peter's just finishing his soup at the moment. Gabriella, are you still in Ireland at the moment?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
And I think that I'll be here just a few months more, but we'll see.
I can't. Okay. Are you still managing to learn any crypto things while you're in Ireland?
Yes, I finished the course with the University of Nicosia last year.
Okay.
I continue in learning by myself, like always every day, listening your workshops but I really have as much as learn as much as questions I have.
Okay. It's an excellent course, isn't it? So very in detail.
Yes. So one of my concerns, maybe I asked you from the beginning. I thought that it was my first question to you, but I continue with these concerns nowadays. So
okay.
How can I monetize the Bitcoin, Gary?
How can you monetize Bitcoin?
Yes, once you invest in Bitcoin,
okay. So
different ways to monetize, and if this is, for example, you have to think about it. In which country will be better to monetize them? So about laws and so on.
Okay, so I guess it's quite an open question, really.
I know it.
And Hugo's joined us, and Hugo's smiling already because I think Hugo's thinking, "How's Gary going to answer this?" Hugo, how do you monetize crypto? So
no crypto, Bitcoin.
Bitcoin specifically. Okay.
Exactly, it's not the same crypto that Bitcoin. This is my concern.
Okay, so
but monetize, I don't know if the money, and when I tell monetize, is in fiat currency.
Mm-hmm. So do you mean how can you make profits, or do you mean how can you turn Bitcoin back into fiat currency, first of all?
One way, okay, I'm focused on just monetize.
Okay, so I'm trying to make sure I understand how you're using the word monetize. You mean use it in some way. Is that right?
Yes, maybe in euros, maybe in dollars, maybe in salt, I don't know. Or maybe it could be better in real estate.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
and then first, Bitcoin to real estate, and real estate to fiat, for example. I don't know.
Okay, so Elena's just waved as well. Hello, Elena. So this is it. This is our Ireland contingency building up quite nicely this evening. Okay, so I guess Gabriella, to answer the question about Bitcoin monetization, that kind of thing,
Please.
it really depends on what your interest is and where you want to go. So some people are buying Bitcoin simply to see the value hopefully go up in the future. And this is where I always say I'm not offering investment advice. So Bitcoin goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways.
I
So,
am
so
not. I am not asking
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
okay.
That,
I'm
that,
just
that,
asking how
that,
to monetize.
yeah, that's okay. It's just I always have to have that caveat at the top in case there's any regulator watching that this is not investment advice. So in terms of,
Gary, can I interrupt and clear up this monetize?
yeah,
I'm not sure if that's what we're discussing. And
okay.
you just prodded it, I know, but monetize is usually you're making this video, you get a sponsor, that's you monetizing the video,
Hmm.
or you do the video and you get some hits and you get money. So I don't know what's being asked there in terms of monetizing Bitcoin. Yeah. If you can use another
Gabriella,
word instead of monetize, because I
yeah,
don't think that's the right word.
yeah, Gabriella, I think what you mean is how can you make money out of Bitcoin? Is that right?
No, if you had, I mean, if you had Bitcoin right now,
Okay.
okay, and you need money,
Mm-hmm.
you need fiat money. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I get
Convert,
that.
convert, not monetize.
Okay.
Monetize is different.
What?
Yeah.
How? So is the term is not monetized?
No, or certainly not the way it tends to be used in English. So I think this is simply a translation. I think what you're trying to say is if you've got Bitcoin, how do you turn it into fiat currency?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that's just converting it. But that's
Thanks
okay.
for that, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Peter, you're right. It's good to clarify. So the normal way is simply that you would go onto a crypto exchange,
Okay.
which
Without now using exchange.
Mhm. So there's different ways of doing it. First of all, there is what is known as over the counter. Over the counter is where you just do peer to peer. So it could literally be you arrange to meet somebody in a cafe somewhere, and they bring some cash with them, and you transfer the crypto. They hand the cash over. That's one way of doing it, and that's known as over the counter. It can be quite risky because you quite often don't know who these people are. You know, they might hand the cash over and then you go outside into a darkened alleyway, get hit over the head, and they take the cash back off you again. So that's quite a risky way of doing it. The more normal way is simply to go via a crypto exchange. So something like Coinbase, Kraken, blockchain.com, there's a few others, and convert from Bitcoin into a fiat currency on the
Okay,
exchange.
but without KYC.
No, generally not. If you're trying to do it without KYC, that is getting increasingly difficult. So for those who don't know, KYC is know your customer. This is where most exchanges now insist on you registering and confirming your identity in some way. So they may ask you for your password, your bank account details, and so on. So if you were trying to avoid doing KYC, then it's very difficult to do that via exchanges now. There are people who will do direct exchanges with you. So again, this is another form of over the counter, but it's very risky. So again, you could reach out to somebody who says, "Yeah, I'll send you, dollars to your bank account or euros to your bank account if you give me your bank account details and you send me the crypto." But that's very, very risky. And unless you know the people, unless you trust them, I would not suggest doing it that way. The typical easiest way is to go via an exchange, but that does mean going via KYC. Hugo just mentioned actually interesting point. He's saying he thinks Binance are now introducing peer-to-peer transactions, but in order to be registered on the Binance platform, you still need to go through the KYC checking. So this is the thing that most institutional or recognized crypto exchanges, the legitimate ones, are all abiding by the regulations about doing KYC and that kind of thing. I don't know, anyone got any other experiences or suggestions?
It's similar to the Binance one, Gary. You can transfer stuff, but what we refer to as the on and off ramps, because it's not just getting Bitcoin to money now, it's getting fiat into crypto, which is being closed as well. But I've got a couple of these cards. That's Uphold. So I've got KYC to have an Uphold account because I buy and sell there. But once I've got the stuff in my account, I can go and pay for my groceries and Waitrose with that, and it will auto convert from whichever currency I connect. But it doesn't get around this KYC, and I don't think there's any way around that other than me sending it to my friend in the Philippines and him cashing it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyone else got any other suggestions? Everyone's staying quiet. It tends to be, Gabriella, that regulators are getting very interested in crypto, and this is why they've put all sorts of things in place. So there's a thing in Europe called MiCA, which is the Markets in Crypto Assets, which is a whole raft of regulation around registration, money laundering, tracking, tracing, that kind of thing. In the UK, the FCA have got their crypto asset register, where any companies dealing in crypto for consumers, they have to be registered and regulated in that. And they're all going through this whole KYC process. And also there's a thing now, there's a global organization, which is FATF, which is the Financial Action Task Force. It's led by US Treasury, I think it is, but it's a global organization. And they've got a thing called the travel rule. And the travel rule is that whenever crypto transfers from one wallet to another wallet, you have to do checking of where it's coming from and where it's going to, and register that. So any exchanges, they have to do sufficient KYC checking on the person now to make sure that they know who it is who's sending the money and who it is who's receiving the money. So it's becoming quite onerous and quite locked down, and it's quite difficult. As I say, the easiest way, it's a bit like cash. The easiest way of handing over cash is to physically meet up with people, but that carries with it some risks. And in fact, it was interesting, a few years ago, I was running a training session around crypto, and I was saying about how the future could be in the future of like buying and selling properties using crypto. And I said how it is, you don't just walk into a cafe with a suitcase full of cash in order to buy a property. And somebody said, well, actually, I bought a flat in Moscow, and that's exactly what you do. And so apparently in some countries, you hire a security guard, you go into the bank, you collect a load of cash in a suitcase, you go to a local coffee shop with your security guard with you. The other person hands over the deeds of the property. You check that they're all legitimate. You hand over the bag of cash. The security guard goes with them. So that's the only way that you can still do true transfers, and it's the same with crypto now. So hope that helps, Gabriella. Okay. Anyone got any other comments or questions or anything?
So yes, another one. So what means exactly monetize on that way, on that file then?
So again, I think this might be a translation thing.
No, no, it's not. I am not translating from Spanish to English.
Okay.
I see this word in crypto file.
Yeah. Okay, so usually monetize means make money out of. Okay, so a profit. So if you've got Bitcoin already, it's how can you, well, when someone says about monetizing crypto or monetizing Bitcoin, what they mean is making a profit out of it in some way.
Okay.
So an example of that might be if you do a thing called staking. Staking is where you lock your crypto up in return for which you earn interest. And this is something that there are some crypto mining companies who do that, whereby you lock your Bitcoin up with them. They use that crypto to finance paying for mining rigs. They make money out of the mining contracts, and then they sell. They share some of the profits back with you. But I always urge caution with that, because there's a lot of scams out there. And I saw it the other day. Someone got in touch with me, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, I've got this guaranteed system where you make money out of crypto. Would you be interested?" And I, go on, tell me a bit more about it then. And she was offering a deal that if I paid a certain amount, they would pay me 30% profit per day guaranteed. And it's like that is just so far off the scale, crazy, ridiculous, that it wasn't even worth having the conversation with. So you will get some of these things where you'll see people saying, "Oh, we're offering this crypto mining contract. You lock your crypto up for 1 month and we'll pay you 3% per day or per week or something." Again, a lot of them are scams. We've had a couple of people who've come up on this session, and they've said, "Oh yeah, I'm making loads of money out of crypto at the moment. I'm checking my crypto wallet every day and I'm seeing the amounts go up." And you say, "Have you ever actually tried converting it back into cash or into your bank account?" "No. Why would I want to do that? I'm making so much money." It's like, no, you're not making any money. You're just seeing numbers on a wallet going up. And that's software. And software is programmable. And that does not mean you're necessarily. So in terms of monetizing things, Gabriel, you can get crypto contracts that if you lock your crypto up, you can make money on them, but be very, very careful with them, because a lot of them are scams. The other thing is that you can now lend your crypto. And if you lend your crypto, you can earn interest or make a return on that. Again, be very, very careful. I've typically refused to get involved in any crypto collateralization projects, because ethically, one of the things I like about crypto is it moves away from a debt-based economy. As soon as you start offering loans against crypto, you've reintroduced the debt-based economy. So I don't like it. I was involved in a project that was a little bit different, which was using a system that's known as non-repudiation, which means if the crypto went down in value, then you lost it. You didn't have to repay the loan back. And a lot of crypto loans, if you loan, say, 1 Bitcoin, which is worth, say, $41,000, and they'll lend you $20,000 against that, for example. If the Bitcoin price goes down, then you have the equivalent of what's known as a margin call, where you have to make up the difference. And what that means is if you've borrowed $20,000 and the value of the crypto goes down, you have to somehow find the money to pay back that loan. And I think ethically that's just wrong. But there are legal systems using existing regulation. That means if the value of what you're holding as a collateral drops, then you can just write the loan off and lose the crypto. So there's a couple of things there. And then the other one, you mentioned things about real estate and that. There are more and more projects that are beginning to kick in that offer the opportunity for you to invest your crypto in real estate. Again, a lot of them are a bit dubious. There's not many legitimate ones yet, so be very, very careful with that. I don't know, anyone got any other ideas? How can you make money out of crypto? And I see we've been joined by Johannes as well. So, Johannes, you got any thoughts?
Oh yeah, welcome, gang. Hello, everyone. Yeah, not particularly. I mean, you've covered it pretty well as usual. So yeah, not really. I think you raised some good points in regards to the FATF and MICA, and that's obviously all evolving at the moment as well. But yeah, I guess they're all we're being tracked just as we are in a normal traditional market. So there's kind of no way of avoiding it. But as you said earlier, I guess it's a little bit of a danger. But you could still, I guess, you got things like local bitcoins and such. But even they're going down the route of KYC. I think last I checked. So yeah.
Yeah, good point. Hugo, you got any thoughts? Did I cover everything there?
Yeah, I think you did. Just the one that I don't know if it's might be covered on what you said, but for example, I mean, just the mining itself, mining of Bitcoin and so on. I mean, it's risky. You have to make a bet on how much Bitcoin is going to be worth, but you also need to make the investment and so on. I mean, so this is not exactly, actually putting your Bitcoin somewhere. We're actually creating the Bitcoin. I guess just for sake of completeness, that's the one that I would add.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing also processing transactions on the Ethereum blockchain and things like that. Like how you can make money. Not actually, that's kind of how you can earn crypto, not necessarily make it, but just for sake of completeness, I would add that.
Yep. Good point. Yeah. Elena, in your learnings around crypto and that, have you come across any interesting ways of making money with crypto yet?
Making money with crypto.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe to buy a plot of land in a virtual world next to the land that belongs to a celebrity, rent with crypto, and rent it out for ridiculous money. And this is the way you make money with crypto.
I love it. You can see Elena's getting into the metaverse in a big way.
I am.
And you're exactly right. That is an interesting one. For those who don't know, the metaverse is a series of virtual worlds where you can do things like you can buy virtual plots of land. So imagine a map of a shopping mall or a city or whatever, and you can buy plots of land and you can put things on them. And exactly as Elena says, certain plots of land may carry more value than others because they're associated with something in some way. So to have a virtual plot of land next to a celebrity is going to come at a premium. So yeah, that's a nice way of doing it, of then renting that out in effect, so that somebody else can claim that that they're living virtually next door to some famous influencer or celebrity or something.
Well, yeah.
I like that. That's an interesting one.
Another question is, who would want to rent virtual land unless someone wants to run a business in some virtual world?
Yeah.
Renting and paying monthly would come cheaper than buying it.
And so that's an interesting one. But the obvious one, and this is where it's fascinating how the virtual world starts mimicking the real world, is advertising. So you think about in the UK, for example, there are bus shelters. So, bus stops, and the bus shelters have got advertising on them, which is typically operated by one of very few advertising companies who rent that space out for companies to put their adverts up and that. There's no reason why you couldn't have that same concept whereby you rent out advertising space in virtual land. So you look at some of the big brands who are moving into the metaverse. Things like Nike, who got quite a profile. Coca-Cola have got a presence, and there's a whole load of other brands. So LVMH, Louis Vuitton, they actually developed as part of the birthday, I think it was last year or 2022, that they actually almost created a whole section of the metaverse themselves, which they use for advertising. So there's no reason why, if someone's got like a metaverse, which is really popular because lots of people virtually travel through it, then just like real world shopping centers, where you can have advertising billboards, there's no reason why you couldn't rent out virtual billboards for advertising. Yeah, that's a good point, Elena. So limit your imagination.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely no different. If we envisage it going down, everyone living in a digital space, then if the metaverse or the world, that particular project company, whoever sets it up, if they set it up correctly, then there is going to be higher footfall in a certain area and in certain districts. And if you happen to have land in that district, then that's going to be a lot more valuable than being somewhere out in the sticks. And you can build like a gallery in there, and obviously, like you said, you can rent it out, and it makes a lot more sense then. So,
and for anyone who thinks this is all like kind of crazy and silly in there, just go and watch a film, something like Ready Player One. And Ready Player One was all about virtual worlds and that. And is actually, I think it was the book Ready Player One that was one of the first things introducing the concept of metaverses. So this whole idea, if anyone's ever put a VR headset on and gone into a metaverse with a VR headset on, it is quite a surreal experience. And it plugs into something in the back of your brain that for those who study about how the brain works, it's almost like it's plugging into like a reptilian part of the brain that we've long since forgotten about. And it's an incredible experience. And a lot of people, certainly of younger generations, are getting into it for gaming and that kind of thing. So VR headsets with gaming. So, some of the computer games, whether it's Minecraft, CS2 or whatever, you're already seeing like little adverts stuck up here and there that big brands are paying for, just like the way you have product placement in a film, you're having product placement in games and product placement in the metaverses. So having a billboard that you can rent out is a fascinating area. It's fascinating when you speak to some people who are more traditional, trying to get them to even comprehend the idea of, so you're renting a bit of virtual real estate to advertise virtual products. It's like, no, this isn't real, is it? It's like, as long as someone will pay for it, it's real enough.
Is our reality real though? So
well, this is where you start going down the route of maybe the Matrix is a documentary and not a fiction thing.
String theory and multiverses and etc. So
yeah, very true. And certainly when you start throwing in things like string theory and multidimensionality, it's like all of a sudden you go, maybe we're not quite in the world we think we are. So, but that's an interesting one. Hey, we've just been joined by JT as well. Hey, Fernando. Come on, he's gone camera shy now and silent.
Hey. Hi, guys.
Hey. So JT is going to bring us back to the real world. We were just talking about the metaverse and the opportunity to make money out of having advertising space that you can rent out in a metaverse. A little bit different.
Yeah, kind of into 2021, towards the end of 2021, I came up with some solution about metaverse for traveling. Yeah.
For which? Sorry.
Sorry.
A metaverse for what? Sorry, or
for traveling.
For traveling. Okay.
Yeah. And one part of the product was actually to do exactly that, to rent out spaces. Yeah. In different locations where brands could advertise. So it was an interesting concept, but I think it was a bit too early. And I think Metaverse is still a bit too early because of VR headsets are not there yet, and very uncomfortable, most of them. So people can't stay more than half an hour, 1 hour without either having headaches or hurting somewhere, That's my personal opinion.
There is certainly a thing, and I know that a lot of VR headset manufacturers are looking at quite often you can get quite nauseous. So it can actually make you feel quite sick with VR headsets after a while. And they are looking at ways of improving that. I find it fascinating. One of the companies that's actually really involved in VR headsets and using them is, I think, a company called Camelot these days. But it's the company not who do the lottery, but who run the theme parks. So the idea is, for those in the UK, you might have heard of Alton Towers, which is a well-known theme park. And what they've been researching is you going on physical rides whilst wearing a VR headset. And you go, well, why would you want to do that? And it's because you can do something like go on a ride. So imagine a helter-skelter or whatever, with an overlay of a virtual world. So all of a sudden you're in a prehistoric world or you're on another planet or something. And so they've been exploring doing that. But one of the big problems they have is when you combine VR headsets and physical movement. I I think that the typical time to nausea, i.e. making people sick, is round about 8 minutes. And for some, it's less. So, I mean, I used to do a lot of aerobatics, and you can adapt to that and you get used to it and you stop being sick. But for the first few flights, hanging upside down, tied to the straps, looking at the world in a different way can be quite nauseous. So a lot of VR headset manufacturers are looking into how they can improve that. And also things like if you've got a headset over your face, then you start perspiring, and they're trying to work out ways around that. So I think actually, if anyone's tried any of the recent headsets, I think is it Halo and I'm trying to remember some of the other brands. They are getting pretty good. So
Oculus.
Oculus Rift was the big one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main problem is, and this actually, it's not the first time that we're going through cycles of VR, If you remember 12 years ago, whenever it was, 11, I think, there was already, it was quite a bit of a hype at the time, VR headsets, and there was, I can't tell you much details, okay, because I used to work for a large corporate, but, they did a study. They got a panel of people, a few hundred people, got them the headsets, and like huge majority, about 90% was like after 40, 45 minutes, maximum an hour, very uncomfortable. You have something in your head is not natural to have, It's like if you don't have some good earphones even the good earphones with good pads on your ears, your ear starts to hurt, after some time. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with headsets. Until they come up with something a bit more different than what we have today, I don't think they are actually comfortable at all. I don't know if you've seen some of the glasses that are coming out, which more AR than VR, but there has to be a concept where it actually goes straight into your eye, without you actually having to have a full headset. But I think it's going to be quite hard for quite some time, because it's battery, it's software, it's actually the computations. It needs to have some sort of processor. You just can't put all on a very small device that is actually quite comfortable to wear for a long time,
It's interesting you mentioned augmented reality. I was going to introduce that, because that kind of has parallels with blockchaining that as well. So I did some work, I think it was around about 2014, 2015, which is about using Google glasses. So they physically look like these. It's just that it had little cameras on the side of them, and you could actually see normally, plus it had superimposed, so it's like a mini head-up display on the glasses, where it actually had links to things. So it meant that you could look at something and it would put a little tag on it as to what it was. So that was quite clever. And I think that's where the thinking a year or so back was that VR was going to slow down, and AR, so augmented reality, was going to be the thing that's going to be really accelerating. So again, this is where blockchain, AI, IoT, and everything starts coming in. For those who know about buildings and property in there, you've got what's called BIM, which is building information modeling. And this is this whole concept of having what's known as a digital twin. So a digital representation of, say, a building or whatever. What that then opens up is an overlay of the physical world and the digital world. So that if you've got something like, I tried it with an AR headset a while ago, which a company was doing around battlefields. So this was about historic battlefields. And so you could walk around a historic place with these augmented reality glasses on, and you could look at something and it would say, well, over there is where such and such a battle took place, and this kind of thing. So for building information management and that kind of thing, I did some stuff in the insurance sector, where that gets really interesting, where like an underwriter can look at a series of buildings and it'll flag up by just looking at them. Oh, well, you currently insure that one for $20 million, that one for $50 million, and so on. Oh, and that little building over on the right there is an electricity power substation. And so the fact that you've got that firework factory there that you're insuring next to that thing. So it's really interesting on that. The blockchain overlay on that starts coming in where you do things, and this links in where, you know, what Elena was saying about the metaverse and that, where you can have a digital metaverse that represents the physical world. And so you can actually have a metaverse that is kind of like a digital twin of the physical world, and then track ownership of all of the physical assets via the digital world, via a blockchain. And at that point, your head melts and you go, that's all too much. And this is where things like tokens come into play, so NFTs and that, where you could potentially have a token representing ownership of a digital asset that actually is representation also of ownership of a physical asset. It's we've still got a long way to go, but there's some really interesting ideas around that space. So interesting. And I don't know, Elena, is that the kind of area that you've been looking at all? This intersection of the physical world and the digital world of the metaverse?
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? And you're right, we still have a long, long way to go.
Mm-hmm. I think we're still at the what's known as the ideation phase. I think there's lots and lots of people having great ideas and lots of people raising money about these great ideas, but no one's actually worked out yet how to make money out of these ideas. That'll be when it gets really exciting. Interesting thing. So I think that was an exceedingly long answer to the earlier question of how can you monetize Bitcoin and crypto. Anyone got anything else they'd like to talk about today? Anyway, we'll move on. Anyone been watching the markets? See how
ETFs.
ETFs, yeah, absolutely. The impact of ETFs. So these are exchange traded funds, so digital representation of crypto in a fund in some way. The crypto market behaved precisely the way I said it was going to, which was that when they launched a couple of weeks ago, and I think Bitcoin was about $45,000. It went up to about 46. It's now trading about 41, I think it is. And it did exactly what I said it would do, which is the old story of buy on the rumor, sell on the news. That obviously the big players had already moved into this space early, which is why it had gone up to about $46,000. And everyone thought when the announcements came through, that meant Bitcoin would go rocketing up. And it did exactly the opposite. It went as people sold off. So I think was it 11 ETFs were approved, if I remember correctly? Yeah. And so on, the impact on the market has been relatively minor, apart from prices dropping a little bit.
But it's not my forte at all. But I've been following like Eric Balashunas, I think it's called, who's been really good at keeping us up to date. He's very knowledgeable in regards to the ETFs, and I think he's part of CNBC or Bloomberg or one of them. But I think what's fascinating is the inflows and outflows. And I think what a lot of people, or obviously not myself included, but in crypto as well, is we thought there's definitely going to be inflows, and then we thought that would kind of translate into the market pretty instantly, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So because the inflows are there, even with the whole GBTC kind of outflows, they've all that's there's still a lot more. Then the volumes are great as well, but that doesn't seem to be translating into the price. And yeah, that's something I'm kind of getting my head around. I think the whole kind of crypto industry is at the moment as well. So, but, yeah.
What has happened was that all of these ETFs that are coming out, they've been buying for quite some time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no coincidence that it went very quickly up to 40, 41, then to 49. But when it reached about 39 to 40, this was already them buying, And also, a lot of these big players, they do OTC deals through Cumberland and all of these big OTC players. They don't go directly to the market majority of times. Yeah, so they had to have, they actually had to buy it to be able then to actually make some money. So the earlier they buy, the more money they make. Yeah. So it was already priced in. Majority of people didn't believe, but there was quite a few guys saying, hey, this is all priced in. So whatever's going to happen is just a pump to try to lock in people. And then, the usual players, shorts and longs, you leverage, and it's a gamble, really, So I think we are in a situation now where it's going to stabilize for a while, and it's going to be the market's going to react as usual traders, they gamble, they short, they long, and go up, you'll pump, but then come down. But, I think we are far away. If you're going to look at the market, the ETF market, traditional markets, you'll understand the behavior, it's over time. It's going to grow, so it doesn't mean we're not going to have a Bitcoin cycle. We're going to have a Bitcoin cycle, Well, I hope we always have. I don't see why we wouldn't, unless if there is some big disaster in the world or another virus or whatever, then that could implode all the markets actually, So it's priced in. What's going to probably kick off next is if they start to announce Ethereum ETFs, then it changes a bit, I think.
So I've got a theory around Bitcoin ETFs and why it is that we've now got 11 companies with ETFs, but the prices haven't gone up. And my theory, I might be totally ill-founded, is based on who one of the largest holders of Bitcoin is. Who'd like to have a guess? I think JT will know the answer to this. But does anyone know who one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin is?
US government?
Correct. Yep. And
I wondered if that's where the supply comes from, because I knew they'd got billions in there.
Exactly. So what has happened is that the FBI and the US Department of Justice seize crypto assets, and they've become one of the biggest holders of crypto. And what they occasionally do is they sell them off, and they sell them off at kind of a designated auction, and they sell them off surprisingly at a slight discount to the market. And so I wonder if they've actually been offloading some of the crypto already at a below par rate. So it means that the US government has not had big exposure to crypto prices. Not that it cares, because it didn't pay for them in the first place. But it's a good way of the funds getting access to crypto to build up their reserves without it affecting the price. Because the last thing the US government would have wanted would have been for these ETF companies who have to procure Bitcoin if they're going to sell it as part of a pool or an ETF. Now, if they'd have gone onto the open market and bought it and everyone spotted it, then the price would have rocketed up. So I've got a theory, and it's without any evidence whatsoever. It's just a thesis. That I think that might be one of the ways that they funded it, which would explain why it is that the prices have started going down, because it might simply be that they're offloading them back. So we'll see. Don't know if anyone's got any other ideas.
To tag along to your point as well, there's obviously the apprehension in regards to the Mt. Gox coins as well. So that's another kind of headwind, if you want to look at it that way. And I guess there's maybe Celsius a little bit, but Celsius has been more around Ethereum. So, and I think they're done selling theirs as well. So,
yeah. And I guess you've got the whole. Go ahead,
sorry, Gareth, just to say, GBTC has about $27 billion. Yeah, 600 and something thousand Bitcoins, if I'm not mistaken. They are really one of the largest ones. And when we saw those outflows, initially it was about 48 million. So that sudden crash from 48, 49 coming right down. A lot of people, is people converting, GBTC to spot ETF, but the outflows were clearly seen from the GBTC wallets of about $48 million. So it was not that, I keep saying these are bots, just to take. It's just leverage. It's a game, So and lending, which what they do, and giving collateral, their crypto costs money over time. So if they're not making enough money, they have to dump at some point and return it back, and then start over again the cycle. I mean, it's a gamble.
And it's something as well when you actually take a look. I was just digging up the numbers on the actual market cap and everything at the moment. The market cap of crypto this year has remained fairly stable around 1.5, 1.6 trillion dollars, and Bitcoin represents just under 50% of that at the moment. So you can see that even though there's been inflows, there have also been outflows balancing it out. Because if the whole market had been growing, you would have seen this market cap lifting. Although the fact that Bitcoin has gone down by 10% makes me think that if the market cap's saying the same, then that means that there is an increasing inflow going on in some way. But I agree. I think a lot of the markets have had this priced in for a long time, which also leads on to my next prediction, which, again, this is not financial advice, blah, blah, blah. This is just an opinion piece, that everyone's talking about Bitcoin halving in April. And traditionally, Bitcoin halvings is where we see Bitcoin prices going up. And I think this is the halving where we are going to see hardly any change on prices this time. And I think I've shared my thinking behind that previously. And it's because, first of all, everyone now knows that it's going to happen. And therefore, again, the expectation of the halving is already being built into the market. And also, I do still think that the type of people or entities that are investing in Bitcoin now are slightly different to the ones 4, 8, 12 years ago. Because I think it's moving away from being a consumer, almost hobby fanatic market to more of a stable investment thesis type thing, which will certainly happen with ETFs. In some ways, that means traditional money markets will be investing longer term and won't be going in for this, look, it spiked up a little bit, and scalping and trading, that kind of thing. So I think in some ways, Bitcoin ETFs might actually dampen the market down for a while. So we'll see.
I don't disagree with you on that. There's only one small thing I would add, is that traditionally, in crypto in general, when it comes to May, people start to sell. It's summer, people don't want to bother. A lot of people go on holidays, all of those people. So we might actually see the market actually going quite a bit down, and especially because exactly what you said, that they'll probably start quite earlier than that. But these are all, I kept saying it doesn't really matter what I think or whatever, as long as there is, longs or shorts to kill, these bots will continue. This is automation, just automation. It's all about FA, Forget about technical analysis. It has to be making financial sense for them to actually run these bots. And they're going to go wherever they have to go, As long as they have liquidity, they'll continue to do it. And remember that there was already 17 million Bitcoins minted by 2017. Okay? Since then, only 2.8 or 2.9 only, quite a lot, but you know what I mean, yeah? So there's a lot of people with a lot of Bitcoin that has been playing the market, So those people are doing quite a good job, to be truly honest, for themselves. I want to add one thing, Gary. Keep an eye, I think, all around Twitter and Twitter payments.
Yeah.
Because we might see Doge coming back. If I know Elon Musk, well, I think the guy is going to at some point in the next couple of months, we might see some, and again, no financial advice, just based on what we know from the last 3 days or whatever it is, that they got some payment license, wasn't it, from one of the states in the US?
Yep. That's right. So it's something that I said a long time ago, that I thought that Musk had actually acquired Twitter, at least in part because it's got a built-in crypto micropayments facility already there, already developed. So you can actually use it already for tipping with Satoshis and that. So it's already got that micropayment capability built in. And as you say, they've now started acquiring, I think it's payments licenses as opposed to banking licenses, which is, they need the payments licenses. So all of a sudden, we've kind of got what we saw with Facebook and Libra a couple of years ago, of all of a sudden a platform that is unregulated suddenly having a capability of offering a payment rail. I think that's very much it. And Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it at the moment, is rolling out an interesting number of capabilities right now. So I was watching, it was the latest SpaceX launch. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, which was the third manned launch out to the International Space Station. But what was most interesting about it wasn't the fact that you've now got a private company operating space launches. It was the fact that the broadcast quality of them live streaming it on Twitter Spaces was phenomenal. Really high quality imagery and sound and everything. So you've now got X, as it's called, with a live stream capability for video and for voice. And they're now rolling out at the moment the ability to make phone calls via Twitter without having a phone number. So if you've got people in your contact list who you follow and they follow you, they're rolling out at the moment, because I had a message on one of my apps the other day, the ability to call people, either voice or video, directly via the Twitter platform or the X platform. So you think about, you've suddenly got this app which a few years ago allowed you to type in 140 characters of nonsense, is now a fully fledged crypto payments gateway with voice and video calling, and with a whole load of other apps getting it. So it comes back to, people said a while ago, Musk is trying to turn it into the WeChat of the Western world. And I think you're right, JT, that the ability with micropayments or crypto payments is something that is going to get more and more interesting soon. Don't know, anyone got any differing thoughts about that? Am I totally the wrong end of the stick? Was it a reasonable thesis?
Gary, I think just in terms of Coin X, you might remember that Elon Musk's first company was X.
Yep.
And his 10th son was named X. So it was all part of his plan. And then when you look at the it's not Skynet, what does he call his Skynet? His satellite network. The unbanked in Africa, South America, you'll know a massive number of unbanked people wanted to make payments from the phone.
Yep.
It's the perfect setup for it.
And it also, with his internet network through his space satellite constellations, allows him to operate it extra jurisdictionally, which is quite interesting. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff on there.
Which comes back to Alina's question at the start: how do you monetize? Basically, the on and off ramps for crypto. When somebody said, "What do you need on and off ramp for?" Crypto's money, fiat is just paper. Why do you want to go off in fiat? Because people won't take crypto. What you want is crypto to be money, and like a bridge currency, like the petrodollar.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for. I won't have to cash crypto. I'll just spend crypto, or I'll take loans against crypto.
Yeah, when we get to the point where you can go into Starbucks and actually pay for your soya decaf latte, mocha, grande, whatever, using crypto, and it doesn't go via a gateway where it actually converts it into USD or GBP or whatever, where it actually natively does it as a payment in crypto, then you're right. But again, we still seem to be a way away. I bought a burger and chips in London once with Bitcoin. And in fact, it was at a place called Bitburgers, which was a street cafe type thing. And I've bought there's a couple of bars in London where you can buy in crypto, and it is actually you are buying it in crypto without going via the gateways. But we're not anywhere near there yet, which is interesting. It's taking a lot longer than a lot of people said. Well, we'll see.
I just remembered one. XRP, the CEO of Vietnam Airlines, announced this week you'd be able to pay for flights by the end of this year using XRP.
Was that a genuine? Was that a genuine announcement? Because the problem these days is that every time I see something like that, I think that's a scam.
Well, all the payment, if I send money over there now, it goes through XRP.
Okay.
I mean, it's bank to bank, but it converts to XRP, and it's there in seconds between accounts. So as people in Phuket, and they were saying, just use XRP, don't use MoneyGram or whatever. It's there, and it's very cheap. And then you can keep it in XRP or convert it over. The King's Bank, Bank of Siam, bought BitCub, digital exchange.
Okay.
So I made an offer they can't refuse. So I was hoping that I could transfer my money over to that BitCub and then take it out of Bank of Siam over in Asia. But it's going to be increasingly difficult. But there's one thing there, another thing on that. You talked about the government owning the crypto. One thing I heard, why is the government so against Bitcoin? Well, because it's not because of money laundering, whatever. It's because they can't sell bonds. If your money's in Bitcoin, they can't sell you a bond. And they need USA prints $1 trillion of debt. And then somebody said, well, but if JP Morgan, when they do the ETF, if it's synthetic, they don't have to own all that. They can still buy bonds. So it's how does the government allow crypto, but make somebody buy its debt?
Mm.
And as you say, Gary, that's an existential, because we're trying to get away from debt-based fiat to asset-based currency. And they're trying to bridge that gap where they still need to print $1 trillion of debt every year.
Yeah.
So if you can work out how they do that, you might be ahead of the game.
Yeah. I don't think there's an issue with them printing it. I think there's an issue with them selling it.
Bonds. Yeah, it's selling the bond.
Yeah.
And if they can sell them, you might know that some of the USDC or whatever, that they've got government bonds in there underpinning their fix.
Yeah.
They don't own all the coin or whatever. They've got bonds and stuff to say they've got the equivalent money.
Well, wasn't that one of the things with Tether at one point? That Tether, so USDT, claimed initially that every Tether dollar was backed by equivalent value in US dollars. And then when they were asked, what did you mean by equivalent? And it turned out it wasn't actually that they had a big bank account with a load of US dollars in it. It was that they had a lot of other things that were kind of equivalent to dollars. So things like bonds and that, which is where these kind of things really need proper audits and regular checking in there. Because I think there was the potential of a shortfall in some way. So interesting stuff. Folks, we're on the hour. We've been chatting for an hour. We've gone through the route of, how can you make money out of Bitcoin and that kind of thing without being it financial advice. We've taken a look at things like ETFs. We've taken a look at the Metaverse, which is an amazing thing. So if anyone's not tried it, go and check out a headset, try it on, play a VR session. They are incredible. And there will be links into crypto and blockchain there. And then we've ended up talking about the connection with the real world and governments and that. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time today. Hope you've enjoyed it as always. For those who stayed quiet, I presume that's just that you're enjoying listening. So anyway, folks, need to head off. Have a great day. See you again next week.